Hey everybody, Dr. Dane from Wellness Solution Centers, and we're talking in February about cardiovascular disease. And no, you can't talk about cardiovascular disease without talking about cholesterol. And this is such a buzzword when I speak with people. And yet most people, when I speak to them about cholesterol, really don't know what cholesterol means and how it contributes or doesn't contribute to heart disease. There's so many studies, literally thousands of studies that have come out now that really debunk the cholesterol myth. It is not the total amount of cholesterol in your bloodstream that is attributed to heart disease. You don't believe me? Go on and Google heart disease and cholesterol and start reading some of the research that has come out, because we know that people with low cholesterol still have heart attacks, and we know people with high cholesterol that have a very cardioprotective mechanism going on in their body by having high cholesterol. So let's talk about cholesterol and what it really does so you understand. So cholesterol is that waxy substance in the body, and we have come to villainize cholesterol, and yet cholesterol is one of the most important substances in our body. Do you know that your brain is made of cholesterol? Important hormones in your body such as testosterone, estrogen, growth hormones are made of cholesterol. So cholesterol is extremely important to the body, and cholesterol can be broken down into two component parts: LDLs, low density lipoproteins, and HDLs. Okay, so the understanding of the ratios of good to bad and the quantity and quality of the cholesterol is what you need to know, right? So we want to minimize the amount of LDL cholesterol, right? Cholesterol cannot be carried in the body by itself. It has to be carried by a protein. And these proteins are called lipoproteins. And the quality of your lipoproteins is more attributed to whether you'll have a heart attack or a stroke than just the cholesterol itself. Another thing that really impacts your cholesterol is oxidation. So just like when an apple turns brown, that's oxidation, okay? Oxidation is rust, and you can oxidize your cholesterol so that it becomes very dysfunctional. So it's not the total number, it's do you have oxidized dense cholesterol? Now we know that low density lipoproteins, especially if they're oxidized, have a better chance of getting underneath the arterial wall and creating arteriosclerosis, hardening of the arteries. So what we really want to know is what are the ratio of LDL to HDL, and of the HDL cholesterol in your body, how much of that is good cholesterol? Do you know that HDL actually takes the LDL cholesterol back to the liver so that the body can get rid of it? So HDL, that's why it's called the good cholesterol. We want a lot of HDL cholesterol, but not only do we want a lot of HDL cholesterol, we want a lot of HDL cholesterol that's functional, okay? If the HDLs become oxidized, it's like bad workers, right? You have a lot of workers, but some workers are going to produce more work than others. So we want good HDL cholesterol. We also want to know what our triglyceride to HDL ratio, probably the number one indicator of whether somebody will have a heart attack or stroke, is this number. It's 17 times more sensitive at predicting whether somebody will have a stroke or a heart attack compared to just looking at cholesterol alone. So you want to take your triglycerides and divide it by your HDL. You want to keep that number under 2. If that number is under 2, you have a very low chance of developing a heart attack or stroke. If that number climbs over 4, you really increase your likelihood of having a heart attack or a stroke. Now there's more sensitive measures now because we now have technology that can look at other things, like do you have plaques, okay? This number right here, LPPLA2, and your MPO, your myeloperoxidase, these are factors in your blood that tell us that you have a clot or many clots, and also tell us that your clots are actually starting to rupture and produce substances in your white blood cell. So we can measure these things in our office through a Boston Heart Lab. So if you know somebody who has cardiovascular disease or at risk, make sure they're having their Boston Heart Labs done in our office, and understand the difference between good and bad cholesterol, because it's not just the total number of cholesterol. Get that out of your head. That is a myth. That is the world is flat, okay? The world is not flat. The world is round, and you do not get heart disease or strokes because you have high cholesterol. You get heart attacks and strokes because that cholesterol has become oxidized, and you have bad ratios of good to bad cholesterol. So this is Dr. Dane from Wellness Solution Centers. I hope you have a better understanding about cholesterol and heart disease.